The galaxy was holding its breath. For weeks now, the Varelian Princess Lara had been missing. She had vanished during a peaceful diplomatic visit to the neutral planet Nearith, where her arrival was meant to signal unity between the Varelian Empire and the Human Alliance. But something had gone terribly wrong. Her transport ship had crashed during a sudden storm, and no trace of her had been found. Not her guards, not her pilots, not even her body. Many believed she was dead. Others whispered darker things: kidnapping, betrayal, sabotage, but no one dared to act. Not the Empire, but the humans. The peace between them was too fragile. Any sudden move might be seen as a declaration of war, so they waited, silently praying for answers, while diplomats traded cold words in luxurious halls. But one man could not wait. His name was Sergeant Elias Ward, a quiet, steady human soldier with scars on his back and honor in his heart. He had no rank high enough to command attention, and no medals that gleamed like stars. But when he read the missing report, when he saw the princess's image, those sharp, frightened violet eyes, he felt something twist inside him. He saw a girl, not just a political figure, a daughter. It's a life worth saving. While the generals argued and the empires hesitated, Elias stepped forward. He didn't ask for permission. He requested one thing: an old scout-class ship, barely fit to fly, and clearance to search the outer zones. Most laughed. Some warned him to stay out of it, but Elias didn't care. Someone had to try. He launched into the void with only a few supplies, a fading map, and a promise to himself: I will bring her home. Days passed. Then weeks. He searched ruined satellites, abandoned outposts, and dangerous moons no one dared explore. He faced storms, power failures, even pirates. Still, he pressed on. His body grew weaker, but his will did not. At night, inside the freezing cockpit, he would stare at her hologram Princess Thalara, age 17, bright and proud, and whisper, I'm coming. The galaxy ignored him. The media forgot him. But somewhere in the darkness, he kept flying. Then, on the 29th day, deep within a storm-ridden system far from any star charts, his sensors caught something. A signal, weak, broken, but unmistakably fervent. His breath caught in his throat. Elias dropped out of hyperspace and found himself staring at a shattered world wrapped in purple lightning. A dead planet, except for that one signal, pulsing like a heartbeat. He gripped the controls, heart pounding, and whispered again, Hold on. He didn't know if she was alive, didn't know what waited below, but he knew this. He would not leave without her, and far away across the stars. The empires watched in silence, unaware that one lone human soldier was about to change everything. Sergeant Elias Ward stood at the edge of the storm. The ship trembled as the winds of the shattered world howled across its surface. Purple lightning cracked the sky, and dark clouds moved like living beasts. This place was nowhere on the map, forgotten by both time and war. But the signal was real. He stared at the flickering screen. The coordinates led him to a ruined outpost hidden beneath the surface. Old markings on the satellite images matched Varelian military design. Maybe a secret shelter, maybe a trap. But Elias had no choice. He tightened his grip on the controls and guided the ship down. The landing was rough. His vessel bounced against jagged rocks, the storm battering its hull. Warning lights blinked across the dashboard. But somehow he landed alive. He grabbed his gear, pulled his coat tight, and stepped into the storm. The wind hit him like a wall, freezing and sharp. Every step forward was a fight against nature itself. But Elias kept going, following the signal through. The ruined base, broken walls, rusted machines, shattered windows. This place had seen war long ago and never healed. Then, through the fog, he found it. A sealed door with ancient Varelian text glowing faintly. The signal was coming from inside. He raised his hand and knocked. No response. He tried again, 3 short knocks, too long. A military code? There was a pause. Then slowly, the door slid open. Inside he found a dark chamber, cold and silent. A small emergency light flickered above, casting shadows across the floor. The corner wrapped in a thermal blanket was a girl with silver hair and glowing violet eyes. She looked up, weak but alert. Elias froze. His heart pounded in his chest. It was her, Princess Thalara, alive. She stared at him, confused. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He lowered his weapon and stepped closer. "Sergeant Elias Ward, Human Alliance. I came for you." She narrowed her eyes. "Why?" He could have spoken about duty, peace, or politics. But instead, he said softly, "Because your mother never stopped hoping, and neither did I." Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away. "I thought no one would come." "I'm here now," Elias said. "You're not alone." She struggled to stand, but her legs were weak. Without hesitation, Elias moved forward and caught her. She tensed at first, surprised by his touch, but then let herself lean on him. "You're injured," he said gently. "Just tired," she replied. Voice trembling as he helped her toward the exit, alarms suddenly echoed. Through the base, red lights flashed. Storm outside roared louder. Thalara's face turned pale. "They found us. The ones who took me. They're coming back." Elias didn't panic. He looked her in the eyes. "Then we leave now. I'll protect you." Studied him for a moment. Something in his steady gaze made her believe him. Together, they fought their way back through the ruins. Elias covered her with his coat, shielding her from the storm. She clutched his arm, every step an effort. He kept whispering just a little further, like a promise. Finally, they reached the ship. As they lifted off, lightning struck just meters away, shaking the vessel, but Elias held steady. Behind them, ships began to appear in the clouds, dark and fast. The enemies were here, but Elias didn't look back. He looked at the princess, now resting in the co-pilot's seat, eyes closing slowly. And in that moment, he made a silent vow. He would get her home, or die trying. The engines roared as Elias pulled the ship into the clouds. Lightning danced around them, and the radar lit up with red marks. Enemy ships were closing in. The stolen princess wasn't safe yet. Beside him, Princess Thalara gripped the edge of her seat. She was weak, but alert. Her breathing was heavy, and her eyes flicked from screen to screen. Elias didn't speak. His focus was on flying fast and unpredictable. A missile whizzed past them. Another hit the tail with a blast. The ship shook violently, alarms screaming. Elias didn't flinch, punched a button on the panel and twisted the controls. Ship spun to the side, ducking into a narrow canyon hidden in the clouds. "Hold on," he shouted. The small ship scraped along the rocky wall. Sparks flew, but they made it through. Behind them, two enemy ships clipped the same rocks and exploded in flame. Thalara's eyes widened in shock. "You're crazy," she whispered. Elias gave a small grin, a little. The ship cleared the storm and jumped into hyperspace. For now, they were safe. Inside the quiet cockpit, only the soft hum of the engine remained. Thalara leaned back, her silver hair messy, her dress torn, her arms bruised. She looked like a shadow of the royal figure she once was. Elias handed her a water bottle and a warm blanket. "You'll need rest." She took it, hesitated, then said quietly, "Thank you." He nodded and sat beside her. "You're welcome, Princess." There was a pause. "You don't have to call me that," she murmured. "I'm not sure I even am one anymore." Elias glanced at her. "You're still someone who matters. To your people. To your mother." Thalara looked away. "They betrayed me, the guards, the council. Even the one who planned the visit. I trusted them." Her voice cracked, and for the first time, Elias saw something he hadn't before. Loneliness. Deep and painful. He didn't speak for a moment, then said gently, "You're not alone now." She met his eyes. His face was weathered, tired, but calm. There was no lie in his voice, no duty or politics. It's just truth. That comforted her more than she expected. As they traveled across the stars, Thalara began to talk first about the crash. then the betrayal. She described the underground shelter, how she survived on old supplies, how she thought no one would ever come. Elias listened. He told her about Earth, his time in service, the friends he lost, and the things he still hoped for. He spoke of quiet places, green hills, warm rains, soft music. The Lara listened, eyes closing slowly, imagining what Earth must feel like. For the first time since her capture, she felt a strange peace. But peace did not last long. 3 days later, as they passed near the shadow line of the Carney's belt, the radar blared again. Enemy ships faster this time. We're tracking them through unknown means. We have to go around, Elias said. There's no time, Thalara replied. The only safe way is through the belt. The Carney's belt was a deadly stretch of space filled with ice shards, magnetic storms, and old wreckage. Most pilots avoided it, but Elias didn't even blink. Then we go through. The princess watched him in silence, unsure whether he was brave or foolish, maybe both. But somehow, she trusted him. The ship plunged into the glowing field of drifting. Ice beams of light cut through space. The hull groaned. Elias steered like an artist, gliding through chaos. One wrong move meant death, but he didn't fail. They emerged, bruised but alive. The enemy ships were gone, unable to follow, as stars stretched before them. The Lara whispered, "You shouldn't have come for me. You didn't even know me." Elias smiled faintly. That's why it mattered. She looked at him, the strange human who risked everything for her, and felt something shift in her heart, something warm, something hopeful. And far behind them, across the stars, the galaxy was waking up to the truth. The lost princess was alive. The human was bringing her home. The stars stretched like silver rivers outside the window, but Elias Ward's mind was heavy. Every safe jump led to a new danger. Every quiet moment was followed by a chase. The enemy was closing in again, faster each time. Someone powerful wanted the princess dead or silenced forever. Inside the ship, Princess Thalara sat curled in the co-pilot seat, watching him closely. Her wounds were healing, but her heart still carried the weight of fear and betrayal. "We won't last much longer," she said quietly. "I know," Elias replied. "We need a place to hide, somewhere no one would follow." A moment later, a thought struck him. There was one place, a place whispered about in old human stories. Feared by pilots and forgotten by Time Sector 9R, the final battleground of a war long past. It was known as the Graveyard, or more famously, the Ghost Fleet. Thousands of destroyed ships drifted there, silent and frozen. No signals, no communications. No one had entered it in decades. Everyone believed the systems were dead. But Elias remembered something different. As a young recruit, he once heard an old admiral speak of a hidden beacon deep inside the wreckage. A leftover war, I still alive, still waiting, was dismissed as a myth. But Elias had no other choice. The ship slid into the dark sector. Wrecked battleships floated like skeletons across the stars. Some still had burn marks from energy blasts. Others were cracked in half, spilling out metal in silence. It was like flying through a metal grave. Lara sat silently, awed and saddened. So much death. Was this all human? Mostly, Elias said. It was the last stand. They called it a sacrifice to save Earth, and now it's forgotten. Not by all of us. As they passed a massive cruiser, something blinked on Elias's scanner. A soft blue pulsar beacon. He followed it, weaving through wreckage, till they reached a large carrier with the words HSS, gallant on its side. He docked the ship and stepped inside with Thalara beside him. Inside, it was cold and quiet, but untouched by time. As they walked deeper, lights began to flicker on. Then a voice echoed through the chamber. "Identify." Elias stood straight. Sergeant Elias Ward, Human Alliance. A pause. Code word. He thought for a moment, then remembered the old story. "Iron Light," soft hum answered. Then the voice returned, warmer this time. Welcome back, soldier. You are not forgotten. A hidden console powered up, revealing an AI interface on old human command system. With glowing blue eyes and a soft male voice, "I've waited a long time," it said. "You carry someone important." Thalera stepped forward, surprised. "You know who I am?" "I know your face. I know your father's voice. He once visited Earth in peace." She blinked. He did. The AI nodded. "Before war, before silence. My records hold truths your people may have forgotten." Elias quickly spoke. "We need help. Enemy ships are tracking us. Someone from her own empire betrayed her." The AI's lights dimmed for a second, then pulsed. "They've planted beacons. In nearby systems, they are drawing you into a trap." Elias frowned. "Can we escape?" The AI responded, "Yes, but you'll need to confuse their scans. I can cloak your ship, and I'll send false data trails to lead them away." Thalera stepped forward again, voice soft. "Why help us?" The AI's voice lowered. "Because your survival means peace.
Act.
And because he came for you, when no one else did."
Oh, yes.
And Thalera exchanged a glance. In this broken place full of ghosts and forgotten machines, they had found something rare and allied. With the AI's help, the ship was cloaked and upgraded. Before they left, Thalera touched the glowing screen. "Thank you," the AI replied. "Gently make the galaxy better than we left it." As they soared away from the ghost fleet, hidden and safe, Ilias looked at the stars ahead. "We have one more jump," he said, "then we'll be close." Thalera nodded. Deep down they both knew the real fight was just beginning. The stars outside the window now looked brighter, almost welcoming. Elias Ward and Princess Thalera had crossed half the galaxy together. With help from the hidden AI of the Ghost Fleet, their ship was now faster, shielded, and invisible to enemy. Scans, they were close, very close. Varelian space was just one final jump away. Thalera sat quietly, staring out at the swirling galaxies. Her fingers traced the soft edge of her royal ring, the only part of her life before captivity that remained. She had changed. She was no longer just a princess. She had seen fear, pain, and loyalty, and all from a human. Elias sat beside her, checking coordinates. "The Empress has been alerted. They're preparing a quiet landing zone away from the main city. One of her ministers is meeting us at the border post." Thalera nodded. "Minister Halvik, who was always loyal, served my father before he died, but something in Elias's gut felt wrong. Still, he didn't speak his doubts, for now hope was stronger than fear." As they entered Varelian space, a small royal vessel awaited them. It was smooth silver, and marked with the crest of the Empire, a rising sun over the twin moons. A calm voice came through the radio. "Sergeant Elias Ward. You are cleared to land. The princess will be taken safely to the Empress. Congratulations. On your mission." Elias guided the ship into the docking bay. Varelian guards waited in perfect formation. Minister Halvik stood in the middle, smiling gently. Thalera stepped forward, heart racing. For the first time, she was back among her people. "Princess Thalera," Halvik said with a bow. "You have returned. The Empire breathes again." E tried to smile. "Thank you, Minister." But before she could finish, Elias caught something strange. The guards. Their weapons were charged, too many for a peaceful escort. And Halvik was not looking at Thalera. He was looking at Elias with sharp, cold eyes. Elias slowly stepped forward. "Where's the Empress?" Halvik raised an eyebrow. "She awaits. But first, the human will be taken for questioning." Thalera froze. "No, he's with me. He saved me." Halvik's smile turned cold. "He's seen too much. We cannot allow outsiders to interfere with royal matters." Elias moved closer. To Thalera, eyes locked on the guards. "This is a setup." The guards raised their weapons. "Stand down, human," one ordered. Thalera stepped in front of Elias. "If you touch him, I'll scream. I'll tell the galaxy what happened." Halvik's face darkened. "You've been gone too long, Princess. Things have changed." Voice rose, full of fire. Yes, they have. I've changed. Suddenly, a flashbang rolled across the floor. Smoke exploded. Elias grabbed Thalara's hand and pulled her back into the ship. Shots fired. Alarms rang. Elias slammed the hatch shut and launched the ship. Just as energy blasts struck the side, the vessel shook but held. Thalara's chest heaved with fear and anger. They wanted to kill you. Maybe even me. Elias looked at her. I summon in. The Empire doesn't want you back. She stared ahead, eyes hardening. They fear what I'll say, what I'll change. Outside, royal fighters scrambled to follow. But the ship vanished into hyperspace again, thanks to the Ghost Fleet's stealth upgrades. Later, inside the quiet of space, Elias sat alone in the control room, head lowered. He had done everything. To get her home only to find home wasn't safe. Thalara entered, quietly sitting beside him. I'm sorry, she whispered. You risked everything for me. I didn't know. My own people. ... He shook his head. It wasn't your fault. She reached for his hand. Then let's finish this together. He looked at her really. Looked. She was no longer the frightened girl he had found in the storm. She was stronger now, and he was no longer just a soldier. They were something. More. 2 lives. 2 species. 1 mission. Tell the truth. The royal city of Virelia shimmered in the distance, glowing like a jewel under the soft light of 2 moons, while tall spires pierced the sky, and golden towers floated in the air, connected by energy bridges. It was a city of power, beauty, and history. But to Elias Ward, it looked more like a battlefield. He stood beside Princess Thalara in the small ship's cockpit, eyes focused on the approaching skyline. His hand rested near the flight controls, but his mind was elsewhere on what waited. For them below. This is it, he said quietly. No more running. Thalara nodded. Her silver hair was tied back, and her royal robes had been repaired. Her eyes were steady, though her hands trembled slightly. Do you think they'll listen to me? She asked. They'll have no choice, Elias replied. The galaxy is watching now. Since escaping the betrayal at the border post, Elias and Thalara had sent out a coded message across allied channels. It contained proof of her survival and the attempted ambush. To their surprise, the message spread like wildfire. Journalists, independent ships, even former royal soldiers began searching for the truth. The Empire could no longer hide her return now. As their ship flew over the outer districts, people looked up from the streets. News broadcasts lit up. Drones followed them. The people of Virelia were seeing something they never expected: their lost princess alive. With a human soldier at her side, as they reached the palace gates, a new obstacle waited. Heavy guard units stood in lines, blasters drawn. Officers blocked the landing platform. In front of them was High Chancellor Drazen, head of the Royal Council. His voice boomed through a loudspeaker. Turn back. This is a restricted area. Thalara stood. Her voice rang clear through the ship's mic. I am Princess Thalara of Virelia, first daughter of Empress Lorea. I demand safe passage to my mother's court. There was silence, and the Chancellor snapped. You are a threat to the stability of the Empire. Elias looked at her. We'll have to walk. She gave him a small nod. Let's walk. The ship landed just outside the gates. Smoke drifted through the air. Crowds gathered behind barricades. Some shouted her name. Others stood in stunned silence. Elias stepped out first, scanning for danger. Then Thalara followed, walking with quiet strength. Soldiers aimed their weapons, but hesitated. Something was changing with every step they took. More people began recording. More soldiers lowered their guns. A child in the crowd called out, She's real. Another whispered, That's the human who saved her. As Elias and Thalara climbed the palace steps, the guards parted slowly, one by one. Then the great doors opened. Inside, the Empress stood waiting. She looked older than her Hollis, her golden crown tilted slightly, her hands shaking. But when she saw Thalara, her breath caught. My child, she whispered, stepping forward. Thalara's eyes filled with tears. Mother. They ran into each other's arms, and the room filled with gasps and silent tears. Even Elias looked away, giving them a moment. The Empress pulled back and looked at him. "You brought her home?" Elias nodded. "I gave my word." First time, the Empress bowed not deeply, but enough to honor him. "Then you have done more than any fleet or council ever could." But just outside the palace, chaos brewed. Chancellor Drazen and his allies were losing control. The people had seen too much. Soldiers were refusing orders. Protesters filled the streets. Something had broken, and something new was beginning. Inside the palace, Lara stood beside her mother, holding Elias's hand tightly. "This isn't the end," she said. "No," Elias agreed. "It's the beginning." And far across the stars, the galaxy held its breath, waiting for what came next. The royal court stood in stunned silence. Princess Thalara, once thought lost or dead, now stood tall beside her mother, Empress Larea. Her eyes were no longer afraid. She had walked through storms, betrayal, and war, but she had returned stronger. And beside her stood the human soldier who had risked everything to bring her home. "Sergeant," Elias Ward. The Empress stepped forward, her voice trembling but strong. "My daughter has returned. Not just from exile, but from the edge of death. From shadows where we left her alone. And it was not my council. It was not our fleets. It was not the Empire who saved her. It was a human." Gasps filled the room. Some whispered, some bowed their heads. Others looked away in shame. Thalara spoke next. Her voice rang across the chamber. "Minister Halvik and Chancellor Drazen betrayed the Empire. They tried to silence me, to erase me. But truth does not die in the dark. Truth finds a way back to the light." She turned to Elias and took his hand. "This man did not know me. I was not his duty. I was not his people. And still he came." All eyes turned to Elias. He cleared his throat. He had faced war storms, and weapons pointed at his head, but this was different. This was history. "I didn't come here for a reward," Elias said, his voice calm. "I didn't come for medals or speeches. I came because one life is worth saving, no matter the species. I saw a scared girl. I heard a mother's cry. That was enough." The Empress stepped forward again. Tears shimmered in her eyes. "Elias Ward, I owe you my daughter. I owe you my Empire's future." Then, to the shock of all watching, the Empress bowed low deeply, fully to a human soldier. The room froze. Cameras captured the moment. The gesture was simple, powerful. Across the galaxy, it was broadcast live. On Earth, people gathered. In city centers, watching the news with wide eyes. In neutral systems, traders raised their cups in cheers. On distant planets, young cadets whispered Elias Ward's name with pride. A soldier, a human, a symbol. Days later, Chancellor Drazen and his followers were arrested. Their secrets revealed, their power gone in their place. A new council was formed, one that included not only royal members but voices from other allied worlds. And for the first time in Varelian history, a human was invited to advise the throne. Elias refused the title, but he stayed. Not for power, but to help rebuild. Thalara began working side by side with her mother, not as a silent heir, but as a leader. She traveled across systems, speaking of unity, of courage, and of the night she was saved by someone no one expected. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the palace gardens, Elias and Thalara sat together under a tree, far from politics, in crowds. She looked at him with a soft smile. "Do you ever miss Earth?" He chuckled. "Every time I see green grass and no one yelling orders." She laughed quietly, then grew serious. "You changed everything, Elias, for me, for the galaxy." I looked up at the stars. Sometimes it only takes one voice, one step, to light a path. They sat in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, battles still raged, borders still shifted, but something had changed. A princess had returned. Mother had wept with joy, and the galaxy had seen the heart of humanity not with guns or fleets, but through the courage of one simple soldier. His name was Elias Ward, and the stars would never forget it.